right, so we're gonna do a little graphing here. It's summertime, water's 70 degrees plus, and we're just idling around looking for some hard spots, trying to find some haunts for largemouth. Their summer haunts can sometimes be out on some deeper rock. And we have the Carolina rig ready to go. And I'm just pulling up on some spots here. I'm just looking at side imaging. I'm looking out 120 feet, and I'm gonna drive over this spot nice and straight. I might have to make one other pass past it, but I'm just gonna drop dots on the hard spots here out on the outer edges. I'm looking, like I said, I'm looking out 120 feet. And what I want to do is just kind of triangulate this a little bit. I have a nice straight edge there. You can see that rock transition, beautiful rock transition right here. Soft bottom to hard. And we're gonna see if we can't find the other side of it because it kind of protrudes off of the shoreline here. And essentially, I'm just gonna make maybe another pass, but what I want to do is just lay out a few waypoints on that edge. You can kind of see it might start to terminate right here. There's a bit of a gap in between these two spots, but you can see that's hard out here, that's hard right here. So I'm going to do the same thing on this spot also. This just gives me a rough idea as to where I want to keep the boat, and let's say maybe keep the boat out of. I drove over them once. I don't want to drive over them any more than I have to, right? It's pretty deep water, anywhere from 20 to 25 feet, somewhere in there. It gets shallower the closer you go to shore. But this way I can kind of circle back and, drop the trolling motor. And you can see on my map here, you can kind of see that there's a high spot out here. I don't really have my card in right now, but this just is a quick way to show me where I want to focus my efforts. So I'll probably start somewhere in here and feather my way around those 4 dots, and then once I feel like I've covered the area, I'll kind of squeak in and get into the heart of all that rock and see if we can't catch a few. So we're here. There he is. Nice. Start the morning off with a largemouth bass. Not a big one, but he's a porky one. And that little hedgehog. Summertime, these bass are kind of, I would say for the most part, in their summer haunts, doing their thing. Sometimes bass like to seek a little refuge out in a little deeper water on the rock. Up here in Minnesota, it's kind of hard to beat just going and fishing grass all the time, because that's usually very productive, especially in this neck of the woods. But on this spot here, we have a nice rock pile. Real hard bottom, boulders. You can see it on the side imaging. God, that one wanted to take it right out of my hands. Same spot, I just threw back in there, of course. It's one of those things where once you kind of get a school fired up, you kind of want to keep on putting your bait back in there as quickly as you can. Yeah, nice one, a little better. On that red line, you hit them with the red line and they're usually coming in the boat. But you can see that little hedgehog right there. A lot of appendages, right? A lot of appendages. I can move it slow, but it still has really nice action down there. And that's kind of what I want to do with the Carolina rig. I just kind of want to crawl it across bottom. I'm not moving it super fast. I'm just poking my way, picking my way through this rock. But I know with those appendages are really thin, so it really doesn't take a lot of movement, you know, to get good action out of your bait. You can see I'm just moving it slow, just dragging it through the rock. It's amazing how many bass can actually get on a small area like this in the summer months. You know, the water temp is 70 degrees or better. I don't know if they just like to, they get on this rock, whether it's cooler or they kind of get on a crayfish thing. I don't exactly know. All I know is there's a pretty good number of them here. And typically I like to, if I'm fishing around rock, I like to kind of match my habitat with kind of the lure, so to speak, you know? Very likely there's a lot of good rock down here, that there's some crayfish down here, and to me that is a very good representation of a crayfish. Right there, that little guy just dragging along the bottom. You know, I could shake a minnow through the tops and see if they come up for something like that, but you know, I'm not seeing them all that well. You know, if I scope around, it's like I can't really see these fish because they're definitely glued to the bottom. And that doesn't mean I couldn't run a minnow through there and get them to come up, you know. But I'm just gonna kind of tailor my presentation to what I'm seeing. Oh, that one got it. There we go. That was a little deeper fish on straight rock. The boat's sitting in like 30. That fish was up about 20, 25. That's a nice one. Yeah, there we go. There we go, and he got it. Jeez, down the old pipe. Like, I'm gonna need the pliers. The whole Carolina rig setup, what I have here today, 2 flipping weights back to back with a bead in between, and then another bead, and then a bobber stop right above my swivel. That little bobber stop right there is, you know, it's rubber, adds a little cushion. And then a VMC swivel. We have a red line, the 3/0. So the 17-pound is my main line, but I also just take a chunk of it, snip it off, and use that as well for my leader. 7:3-to-1 gear ratio reel with a 7.5 foot medium heavy rod. Long casts, you know, I can really drive a hook home too if I get bit out at the end of that cast. Oh yeah, that felt good. You know, those fish, it's like you're always checking your bait with a Carolina rig, you know, because they can throw so much slack into your system when you have 2 feet of leader, bigger or whatever, you know, depending on what you're using. But it's like those things can, you know, your weight, if they pull line, it's pretty obvious. But if you're dragging tight and one picks it up and comes at you, you know, you're just kind of feeling your weight. So often I'll kind of sweep that Carolina rig up and just check to see if anything's hanging on the back, because if he grabs it and comes up and he's looking at your weights too, he can throw like 2 feet of line, slack line into your rig, you know. And again, I really can't emphasize enough the long rod. You can pick up 2 feet of slack line really quick with a 7.5 foot rod. That might be a decent one. Unsure yet. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. I'll take anything I can get at this point. Oh, a nice chunky northern largemouth on the Carolina rig. You know, sometimes getting out on the rock and throwing something a little more subtle, you know, just dragging a Carolina rig around. It's a heck of a fun bite too. I mean, it doesn't get a whole lot better than that. Warm water, summertime, it's just a great way to put fish in the boat. There we go. Oof. God, that's fun to hit him out on the end of a cast on fluoro. He's right here. There we go. Oh, that's too much fun. That is so fun. Heavy line, nice largemouth, feisty largemouth. God, it's fun feeling them pick that Carolina rig up. Yep, okay, there we go. What's left of the hedgehog anyways. I might need a new one after that one, but I mean, the Carolina rig, great way to catch bass. Always has been, always will be. It's probably one of my favorites. Let you go, girl.